Blog Talk Radio.
Hello everyone, this is Chrism and I would like to welcome you to this episode of Conversations with Kundalini, or about your Kundalini awakening experience. And it's a beautiful day here in California, Sonoma County, Santa Rosa, California. And we're having beautiful weather, a little slightly breezy, just gorgeous, like all of you who are listening to this, that have the inner sun glowing within them with that slight Shakti breeze cooling their face. I want to let you know that as per the last show that we did last week, I'm adopting a new format, and I'm just going to go straight in to the Kundalini download, and then at the middle of the show we'll do our announcements. So here we go. Today we're going to talk about faith. And I just want to say before I get going on faith, what I do is I sit in this chair and I put my fingers in position, I close my eyes, I bring my chin slightly down, and I accept what the Kundalini in me wants to talk about. And there is no script. I have no script about what I'm going to talk about with this. And this comes straight from an extemporaneous level of connection with the Kundalini. And so here we go. Today the subject is faith and how important faith is. Faith in yourself, number one. Faith in your ability to have and to hold such tremendous levels of divine energy within you. I'm seeing you, Lauren White, right now. I'm seeing. She's showing me a picture of you, and how your process has really gone for you as an electrical engineer, as a person who understands about power and about energy and about wavelengths and about frequencies. And I just want to put a shout out to you, Lauren White, about your excellence and about the positivity that you represent in the community that you live in. So nice going, Lauren White. Faith will bring you into a level of gratitude-based radiance. When you have faith, and you have faith in the Kundalini at the base of your spine, you are literally an enclosed world of possibility, an enclosed world of probability, an enclosed world that is waiting for the moment to expand outward and explode in a way outward into the community, into the world, into yourself, filling yourself with levels of grace and levels of energy and levels of refinements that to this point you may not have been able to explore. Faith in yourself, faith in the Kundalini. Now, you don't need faith, and you're going to hear we have a new audience member here. Her name is Mins, and she's a mini pit bull, and she's a real sweet Shakti animal. Really, really nice friend. And so she's listening to the show live today. So as we have the faith and as we discover that part of ourselves, the scenario is that we need to invest our trust and our faith in the Kundalini awakening. Seriously. This is not something that you can just say, oh, well, I trust the Kundalini. No. You need to trust it with your life. It needs to be that one lifeline that tethers you to the air as you're swimming in a wild ocean. That's the kind of trust. That is the kind of faith that I'm talking about here. It is your lifeline. It is your lifeline. And as you practice and sculpt yourself into having these strong levels of faith and trust, so does the Kundalini begin to give you specific levels of symptom, Kundalini symptom. And you know, having faith is great, but you don't need to have faith in the symptoms, because the symptoms become fairly strong. They are not always subtle. For the most part, they are not subtle, but sometimes they are. Like with a download. A download can be very subtle, except through the fact that this is not something you're thinking. This is something that is occurring for you. And so, you know, you've seen me right before, you know, with Kundalini, you don't need to have faith. Well, you don't. But in order to engage it fully, why not trust it? Why not have faith in it? Why not give it the credibility that you give each other on the street? You trust that somebody is going to stop at that red light when their light turns red. You trust them. Why not give Kundalini that same level of trust? Let it begin to modulate your life. Let it begin to really formulate the way you respond to other humanity and this environment that we live in. Open yourself to this. Have trust, have faith, and let that trust and faith replace any fear, any panic, any discouragement, any kind of blockage that would come between you and the envelopment of you by the divine that is already within you. We live in this world of ego. This world is all about ego. The world of humanity is the world of human ego. And in many ways, because of the society that you live in, you're going to have to occupy the rules of that society. But your response to society can be pure Kundalini. Kundalini's not out to get you arrested. Kundalini's not out to push an illegal ordinance upon you. Kundalini is not there to hurt you in the way that it would block its radiance coming through you. Not at all. As a matter of fact, Kundalini is there to support you and to support that radiance that comes from you. And that is what faith and trust can do with the Kundalini. She wants to talk about this right now. So I want you to ask yourself a question. Where do you have a lack of faith in your Kundalini process, and why? And why? Is it fear? Is it fear of retribution from your family, from your society, from your work, from your friends? What level of fear is worth blocking the divine within you? I was led, I think it was last night, I was led to explore, once again, I've been led to do this before, to explore the Grail quest that was rampant between the 9th and the 15th century Europe, where people were there's this great mythos and great attitude about searching for the Holy Grail, the container of the sang royal, the royal blood. And I was given to look into this last night, which I did, and to refresh my understandings of what is really occurring within the Grail quest, and how in many ways religious or belief system-based ideologies that were intended for masses of people can kind of obscure the vision of truth that we all have within. And in this case, the Holy Grail was seen to be a chalice or a container outside of ourselves, outside of the human being, so that it would force the human being to go through all these trials and tribulations in order to finally get to be in the presence of the Holy of Holies, the Holy Grail. And I really, when I look at this from a Kundalini perspective, this is all about refinement. This is all about what we're doing in this show. This is all about what we're doing on Kundalini Awakening Facebook and all these other groups that we have. This is all about the refinement of the soul so that the person can experience that holy of holies upon and within themselves at the same time. You've heard me say in other programs, and some of you may have read my writings, that we're always organized to look outside of ourselves for our holiness, outside of ourselves for our divinity, outside of ourselves for God or for the Holy Spirit. It's never inside. In Christianity, we're always looking outside. When Jesus, himself said that, these miracles that I do are from the Father. The kingdom of heaven is within. It's within, folks. So somewhere along the line, Christianity got twisted in a way that really pushed people to not recognize the divine within, not have that faith and that trust in the Holy of Holies within ourselves, but to constantly look outside. Well, divinity looks at that and go, well, how can I make this work for those humans? The Grail quest. Okay. And so, if any of you are familiar with the Grail quest, a lot of this goes around the whole King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table and all the different things that these different knights would do in order to try to find the Holy Grail. And they had a very strong code amongst themselves. They had to be kind to women and children and orphans. They had to do the right thing within the conformity of their society at that time. They had to go above and beyond ethics that were say somewhat challenging at that time. You could just come up and kill somebody, and if you were of a certain stature within that social organization, you could get away with it, no problem. But the Knights of the Round Table, in their search for the Holy Grail, they could not do that. They were in a refinement process because of their faith and their trust in that Holy of Holies. And they were constantly looking outside because of the skewing of their belief system, pushing them to look outside, search outside themselves. And the divine within says, fine, I can play that game. Here, let's give them these little trials and tribulations along the road so they refine themselves to the point that they begin to recognize that which is within them. That which we are calling the Kundalini. So they stuck to their code, just like, many of us are practicing the safeties. We stick to that code. We go with that practice. We're forgiving. We're honest. We're truthful. We're loving. We're kind, we're considerate, we're service-oriented, we're tolerant. Okay? This is our code. We do the 5 Tibetans every day. We do the alternate nostril breathing every day, also known as the pranayama. We do these things every day as a promise to our Kundalini, as a promise and as an expression of faith and trust in that Holy Grail that sits at the base of our spine and whose contents wants to rise up that spine. And as we stick to our ethics and our morality and the safety protocols, and as we allow those moralities and ethics to permeate our being and to be expanded through our radiance into society, so does the Kundalini expand itself within us, with an endlessly unlimited level of energy, consciousness, and grace. Grace translates as power. Power translates as service. Service translates as love. We are here to help, but we are also here to be changed. And through the changing within us, we are also changing the world around us. That which is without is also within. This is the only thing that the Knights of the Round Table didn't really get. They They, at first they were just going that which is outside of ourselves, and I have to do these specific tasks to get to that beautiful holy grail. But as they did these tasks, and as they learned from the tasks that they were given to do, and they completed those tasks, so their learning propelled them forward, and so did their learning propel them inward to the source of grace within them. This requires an expanded level of trust, an expanded level of faith. Because if your society is saying, oh, you only look outward, you look outward here, and if you do the right thing, then you'll see that over there, or you'll touch that over here, and it's always outside, and to expand it another 50%, and to take it inward into the unlimited infinitude that rests behind your eyes, behind your heart, and at the base of your spine. It takes great courage, great trust, great faith that you are doing the right thing, and not necessarily a need to tell everybody about it. You don't need to go around saying, I'm Kundalini Island, the Ascension Factor, I've got my Ascension platform built and I am going to ride it into the stars. They don't want to hear that. They'll just think you're loony. And in our society, you might even get hospitalized for that. So, you don't want to have that sense of personal aggrandizement because you're on the right path and you're doing the right thing for you. Everybody is in different levels of refinement on this world, and each level is representative of where that soul needs to be at that time. Some souls can have this. And in our society where everything Kundalini is basically downplayed and kind of swept under the carpet, and in many ways medicated under the carpet, it's really not appropriate for you to go and start proselytizing Kundalini to people. If you're going to proselytize anything, proselytize your ethics. Proselytize your ethics. Proselytize the high standards of forgiveness, the high standards of trust, the high standards of faith, the high standards that the Kundalini insists upon. And I haven't looked at the chat room, and I'm going to go ahead and back it up a little bit here. Phil Karuba is saying, for me, Kundalini is knowing. And Heli Hainonen says, I need to have more faith in my Kundalini right now. And I think you speak for a lot of people here, Heli. And Heli goes on to say, for me, it's fear. Phil Karuba says, it can be scary at first, but it gets better. And yes, I left out the expletive there. It's a family show. Haley says, I don't know, I've been there before also, but it's different now. Thanks, Phil. And Lauren White says, when you find our brain hasn't melted or your body hasn't dissolved into light, you can learn to accept that you'll make it through the process. There you go. There you go, Lauren. Nicely stated. And that's about it. And I'd like to welcome all the new people, Tickled Pink and Juhani Virkula. Welcome to you both. And I understand, Verkani, that you're going to be going to sleep. Vincent says, I'm still struggling with determining whether it's an entity in my throat or the Kundalini. If you practice the highest ethics, Vincent, that is what will determine that for you. If it's an entity, they don't really want high ethics. Matter of fact, typically entities are a corruptive or parasitic force. So you just forget about what you think may be blocking that throat chakra, and you just go straight in to your Kundalini and you forget about it. Don't let it matter to you one bit. You just stay with the high ethics, the high morality, and do your practice and recognize your Kundalini. Have faith and trust and strength of faith and trust in your Kundalini. And that, if what you'll end up doing is you'll end up evolving that entity, even though that, it may not have come to you for that whole purpose. You'll evolve it away. You'll evolve it into a force of goodness or a force of grace that is not only helping you and assisting you, but the Kundalini itself is working at it, through it, and with it. So as we go through our Grail quest, as we go through our searching for that which we know is there, but we don't know where it is, as we go searching, as we practice the safeties, as we practice our high ethics, as we're forgiving, tolerant, honest, truthful, helpful, kind, considerate, loving, as we are the many, many, many aspects of high ethics, so will we be guided into our grace. So will we be guided into the base of our spine. So will we be guided into each of the chakras. And as we enter into each of the chakras, certainly say the first chakra, it's all about survival. It's all about safety. It's all about continuation of the species. It's all about the divine abode of the sacred feminine. It is all about these things. And as the sacred divinity rises itself and awakens itself and begins to move itself in the first chakra, well, the first things that are going to be amplified are those survival issues. And so once again, we have trust, we have faith in the Kundalini, and we let those survival issues become expressed. We see them, we calm them with our trust, we calm them with our love, we calm them with our faith in the Kundalini, and we move purposefully with grace and with love and with joy and with beauty into the spaces between the chakras and then into the next chakra, which would be the second chakra, which is about creativity, which is about body maintenance, which is about power, the development of power, the expansion of power within us. This involves the Dan Chen, and this involves the lower third and the upper second, and all of these areas. And so this is how we move through the blockages that our programming in life has given us. We are on our own personal Kundalini Grail quest. Okay? And just like the Knights of the Round Table, we have certain tasks that are unique to us that we must complete in order to move it up to the next chakra, in order to move it up through the next level of blockage, in order to move it up through the spinal channel and into the Cittrini channel and through the fontanelle. This is very important for you to get it, to understand it. And as you walk away from this Blog Talk program, and as you begin to embrace your mundane life again, and for those of you who have Kundalini, you don't even have a mundane life. You have an exalted life. And even with those that have the Kundalini, as you embrace your exalted life, you express through amplified process what the Kundalini wants you to express through. You give faith to people. You give radiance of love to people. You give radiance of strength and health and well-being to those around you, to your kids, to perfect strangers on the street, to the people you work with, to the people you're in line with at the grocery store, at the gas station or petrol station. You give your grace as a constant form of radiance. Give yourself to the Kundalini. Totally. As Lauren said, Lauren White said today on this program, and anybody in the chat room can read it. Once you find out your brain hasn't melted, you know that you can survive this. You know that you are here for a reason. You're here for a purpose. You're not here to just hitchhike a ride on a winged stallion and off you go. As fun as that may be. That is not what you're here to do. You're here to help other people. And by helping others, we help ourselves. But there are some very important questions for you to answer. Are you too busy for Kundalini? You need to answer that question. If you truly let go, do you feel that you're going to be damaged? That you're going to have phenomena that doesn't fit in with your lifestyle? Is that what you feel? Is that something that is that a fear that is happening to you? Let's see, Vincent has written something. He says, I'm still struggling with determining whether it's the entity in my throat. Okay. And he also asks, also, is it only or can it also be talking? Though the voices change a lot, that's why I don't trust them. Yeah, Vincent, with entities, if there is no trust for what is happening to you, and if that voice doesn't sound or feel, more importantly, if that voice doesn't feel like it's truth, then you just ignore all of them. Never respond to the voices. I'd like to welcome Eileen Laurel and Rosemary and Joey to the program. Hello, all of you. And I would also like to welcome a very, very, very special person to the program. She was one of the reasons this program even exists. And I'm going to welcome her into the program right now. Hello, Amelia Santara Kundalini. Come on board. Come into the red. Come into the Shakti red as soon as you're finished.
I'm here, Chrism.
Hey. How are you?
Hi. I missed what you were saying because I was chatting with Rosemary. Yeah, she won't be here all the time, and she just wants to be sure that the announcements are made. So.
Oh, well, of course, the announcements are going to be made, but they're just going to be made at the middle of the show rather than at the beginning. And how are you, my dear?
I'm very good. Thank you very much. I'm not having the beautiful weather you're having, but it's raining.
It's raining. You're so lucky. You know, I'd much rather have that rain than have the beautiful sunshine. But I'm just grateful for what I'm given, and so. But I wanted to recognize you, and I wanted to say, even in the middle of the show, thank you and John for putting this show on.
Oh, you're very welcome from the two of us, indeed.
All right, then, we will just continue with this download. It's all about the Grail quest today, folks. Faith, trust, and the questing of divinity. The Holy Grail is basically just a symbol for the divine. If you Google Grail quest and then you look at the images, it's all about that really shiny, pretty cup. You know, that beautiful, bejeweled, golden, lighted cup of whatever, and to the people from the 9th to the 15th century, that constituted God, that constituted heaven on earth, and that is what we have when we postulate the Kundalini. That is what we have. That is what is truly happening to us. You are being changed into a semi-divine biological organism. Half of you is divine. Half of you is walking on the heavenly fields, while the other half of you is walking on the beautiful grain fields of GMO Monsanto grain in the United States and Canada. Which grain would you rather partake of? Think about that. But you are also here to initiate change as you walk across those heavenly fields and as you walk across the earthly fields. Your radiance can initiate DNA changes. It can restore this world. It can restore another person. This is what the kahunas in Hawaii are very, very good, adept at doing. In a flash of light, a broken bone can be healed. This is Kundalini. This is Kundalini, folks. This is what you have. This is what we're talking about here. As we walk through this world, hand in hand with our divine, lockstep with our divine and lockstep with our mundane physicality. What is that telling you? What is that communicating to you? Why are you not all the way into the heavenly fields? Why are you just half? Why are you only halfway there? What purpose does that serve? Think about it. What purpose does that serve? Why are you only halfway? Why just 50% of you? Because it's not all about you. It's about others. It's about our brothers and our sisters, our brothers of humanity, our sisters of humanity. It's about our fellow mortals, the other creatures around us, the bugs and the birds and the little mini pit bulls down here at my feet. It's about the cats and the birds and the fish and the bears and the badgers and the whales, the dolphins. I mean, you name it. It's about our fellow mortals, that which also suffer death, and in many cases embrace death. It is so that we can change and help people come in without trying to marginalize their belief system or to appear like we're in competition with them, but just through the actions of grace upon the world. You don't have to say a word. You just have to stand there and radiate that loving energy through you into the population. You see, this is very different from, say, other modalities that will have you waving your hands over another person, looking for hot areas, looking for cold areas, waving your hands around other people, saying, forces of the universe, hear my prayer, reach into me and affect the change that I have in my mind. You're not doing that. You're standing there and you're exuding divine radiance, and you let the divinity do what it wants to do through you. Are that divine bridge. You are that divine bridge. That's why it's 50-50. That's why you have one foot in heaven and you have one foot on earth, and you are that living bridge. Every single one of us that has the Kundalini in the activated or awakened state. Hugely important for you to understand this. This is why you don't go all the way into the divine matrix. Even after you die, you don't go all the way into the divine matrix, because there's more work for you to do. Some of you have an agenda that would take you out of the earth phase and into another area. And that could be the divine area. I mean, you could go full force. I don't want to seem like I'm limiting what divinity has in plan for you. But what I am saying is that certainly for myself, and I think certainly for other people too, there is a manifesto of service that is to be given while one has the Kundalini and while one is going through that 50-50 experience of divine contact and mundane contact at the same time. That manifesto basically is be of service, be of assistance, help other people come into their divine radiance, help other people do what has been done with you. And let's see, coming back to the chat room, Phil Karuba, saying, it's crazy. I was thinking the same thing today. And Atlanta Seeker says, what, Phil, you were thinking about the Grail too? And he says, yes. And Phil Karuba says, I was thinking about people searching for the golden chalice. And Jahani Verkula says, my friend Helly is soon back. She has problems with the internet. Ah, okay, all right. And there we are. So yeah. We are inside of our own personal Grail quest. And And yet you know that the Grail isn't so much outside of you as it is inside of you. And yet there is a 50% reflection of it being outside of you. You can see divinity in every leaf, in every stone, in every creature, a biological or a fungus, as a fungus, as a molecule of air. If you ever travel with me and I take you to some of these sacred areas, you may see the shimmering in the air. You may see spiritual existence around you. You may feel it. Very important that you understand what it is that is occurring. You are engaging divinity and physicality at the same time. And therefore, back to the beginning of the show, you must have faith and you must have trust, and you got to stop second guessing yourself. Oh, did I really see that? Did I really witness that? How? That's so against science. That's so against the philosophy I've been reading. That's so against my scholastic studies. How can that be real? Oh my gosh. No, that can't be. No, no, that was not real. No. Oh, there it is again. How can that be real? And the bird agrees with me. That's Sugar Babe. Okay. How can that be real? Don't second guess yourself. Trust the Kundalini. Have faith in the Kundalini. Let the Kundalini thrive within you and give it the validation that you give each finger on your hand, each toe on your foot. It is that close to you, if not closer. All right. And now I'm going to turn this, and I'm sorry, you're hearing a Galfin cockatoo in the background, and she just wants to be part of the show, so there she is again. I'm going to turn the microphone over to Santara for her announcement.
Thank you, Chrism. The first announcement I'm going to make is about where you can go. I can hear it.
What can you hear, my dear?
A horrible echo. A horrible echo.
What?
Exactly.
You do?
So, guys, in the chat room, can you hear it?
I don't hear it here.
Okay, I'll continue then. So if you would like to make a donation to the Kundalini Awakening Systems groups to support the work that Chrism does, you can go to this website. It is www.ascension-kundalini.blogspot.com, and in the upper right-hand corner, you can make your donation by just clicking on the button there. If you would like to donate in a different way, you can contact me on kundalinimatters@gmail.com, and I can fill you in on other ways to do that. As we say here every week, you do not have to donate. There's no pressure to do so, and yet we are very grateful for all donations that are received, because it really, really helps with the work that is being done. And so www.ascension-kundalini.blogspot.com is the best and most efficient way to donate if you wish to do so. I don't have any other announcements, Chrism, but perhaps we could have Rosemary on, because I know she's leaving.
She's leaving. Okay, bringing Rosemary on board. Here we are. Hi, Rosemary. How are you, my dear?
Hello. I am fine, Chrism. I'm fine. Thank you for this opportunity. And
this is the mother. This is Rosemary, the Mother Superior, right?
If you say so. Who used to be. Anyway, thank you. I am very much appreciative of what you are saying. It is so an accurate picture. I can't say for history, although I do believe what you're saying, but for a person with a strong connection through religion and religious practice, it takes what you're saying to be able to really live the Kundalini, and I am grateful to. It's not the announcement, but I'm just moved to say that. The announcement is, and this that I know you and I'm your student and have this experience is because I attended a seminar here in Minnesota 4 years ago, and then 2 years ago asked Chrism to come back, and we had a seminar last September. Request for another and another, so November 14th and 15th here in Minnesota. We're 10 minutes from the airport, and my information is rosemaryg@usinternet.com and 651-329-9615. That's a different number than I usually give you, but that's my cell phone. And looking forward to you coming back, Chrism. And the week before, Chrism will be giving talks.
So we're having a seminar in Minnesota on November what?
14th and 15th.
14th and 15th at the Dakota Ridge Lodge in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
And you gave out did you give out your Rosemary G email?
I did. Mm-hmm.
All right, my dear. Thank you. And I understand you have to leave?
Yes, it's going to be, I have a little more time than I thought because I misjudged the time zone, but it's okay. I'll be here for a bit yet, but that was my original understanding.
So,
Rosemary?
Would you?
Yes.
Go ahead.
There are some talks as well. I know that
Yes.
you have one coming up on the 4th of August. Do you want to give the venue for that?
Yes, there are several talks on the film screenings that are scheduled. My job between now and then is to schedule the film screenings that people have a really good understanding from that what Kundalini is. And then it's up to Kundalini whether they're there in the seminar or not, but they'll hear good information. August the 4th at Koinonia Retreat Center in South Haven, which is a little west of the cities. There is one on the 19th at Circle Yoga, and I have 2 others scheduled. I don't have that in front of me, but thank you for that reminder.
Did you say August 4th, Rosemary? Oh, it's a video.
Yes.
It's a video program.
It's a film talk.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
A talk, a film and talk. It's the talk is mine, not yours. You're not here yet. The talks that I was referring.
That was a moment of panic there. I just what? I've got to be in Minnesota on August the 4th. What?
Yeah, no.
All right. Thank you, my dear Rosemary. Oh, hey, Rosemary, I would like you to relate an experience that you had lately to our audience here. Would you be okay with the whole dark thing?
Oh, sure.
Please relate that experience.
Well, thank you. This has to do, I did post it on my Kundalini page, and it had to do with, it starts with the groundwork that had happened was because of the struggle that I was having being forgiving and loving towards some of my family, and the situation had emerged in our conversations about Kundalini. And when the call was over, I could feel agitation in myself, et cetera, et cetera. And I thought I was doing this really good job on forgiveness and loving. But I say now, after the fact, it wasn't as strong in me as I thought, because when the middle of the night, like 4 o'clock, it was about that time, I was awakened with very dark energy around me and saying to me that they belong to me. And I said, no, you don't. I belong to Chrism. I belong to my Kundalini. And they left. And what I did was I could see in the morning I had opened myself to them because of my energy of that low grade of judgment and concern and fear. And so that's what it brought me. And what I did was I got up. I could see that much then. I got up. I have a CD player and Chrism CD. I played that as well and went back to sleep with that playing and that his energy with me. And grateful the next morning for what I have learned from you, my teacher, of what to do. And it was quite striking, but I was clear they were not my beings, that I belong to you, I belong to Kundalini, and I have continued to grow in my efforts toward love. And exactly what you're saying, and it is the energy that we're generating is really who we are. And the safeties are that high, loving energy.
And to be clear, you're not giving yourself to the corporeal Chrism. You're giving yourself to Kundalini that expresses through Chrism, and so we need to make that very clear. So
Thank you. Yes, I that's helpful to distinguish. I know that when I'm saying it, but I know that as well, that it is actually protection as well. And they know who you are, and what I have in my growth and in my practice is in you being the teacher for me.
Yeah. Well, thank you. It is an honor.
I just want to say for that as well, that every day I do my commitment to my Kundalini, every aspect, my life, every action, every thought, everything, every looking out through my eyes and where I am and what I'm doing, I'm remembering that it is the body of Kundalini, it is the eyes, it is the radiance that I bring and that I want to bring.
Well, and you're very welcome. Thank you for making those announcements and telling us that experience, Rosemary. And we are that body of grace. We are that walking, talking Holy Grail. We are the terminus point and the starting point of a Grail quest. It's all about the Kundalini, folks. Sang Royal refers to royal blood or to the holy blood. This would have been the blood of Jesus that in some way I think came in contact with the Holy Grail, and therefore it imbued that Grail with the energy of Christ or the energy of grace, the energy of God. And, from there it goes on and on and on. And yesterday I was talking with another student. We were looking at the picture of Christ, and, I was showing the halo around Christ, and, everybody with Kundalini get to have that halo. Christ had Kundalini. Christ consciousness is Kundalini. He left very, very, very excellent information to help us in our own Grail quest without actually doing it for us. And nobody can do that for us. And if anybody tries to do it for you, well, then, both people are going to have kind of a big problem with it, because it is an individual inward thing. I can point the way. I can walk right next to you, but I can't do the work for you. I can't answer the questions for you. You have to ask your own questions and answer those questions within, and I will suggest that you do it within a paradigm of faith and trust in the divine within and the divine outside of yourself. Because once again, the Holy Grail is divinity, and that divinity is inside and outside, not just one place or the other. It's the two that are one, and the one that is two. That's the ancient equation. The two that are one, and the one that is two. Okay? Now, I'm going to go ahead and have Amelia come back here. Hello, Your Holiness.
Hi, Chrism. Thank you so much for that those teachings and that what you've been speaking to us about. I was reminded there, when Rosemary was talking about, I could be wrong now, but was it St. Teresa of Avila who wrote about, Christ has no hands but yours, no feet but yours, and yours are the eyes that he looks through as you walk on the earth. I was just reminded of that and the radiance of the Kundalini, that this is what Rosemary was speaking about there, connected into what you were saying too.
Anyway. But we could say the same thing about Krishna or Buddha or Allah or any of those deities that represent high ethical, high moral, virtuous activities that do indeed help the divine within come into an expressive reality, right?
Yeah, and she says Christ has no body but yours, the Kundalini has no body but yours, yeah, absolutely. Do you want me to ask questions now?
Would you please ask questions?
I shall. I have a few gathered. Okay. The first one is, could you ask Chrism about the female hormones and why there are so many changes, or possibly why I am so sensitive to the monthly hormonal changes? Pre-awakening, I was fine, but since awakening, many days in the month I am physically and emotionally affected by the fluctuations, and this is still active despite doing the safeties and devotion. Thank you.
Well, of course, yeah. Of course, they should be accentuated by doing the safeties and the devotion. The scenario is that as the Kundalini permeates the human equation, things are being changed. The body itself is being changed, but one of the first systems of the body to be changed will be the endocrine system. And that endocrine system is the home of the hormones. That endocrine system, as it gets changed, is going to have fluctuating hormones, hormone percentages, hormone stability, and it's going to, as you go through those changes, you will feel the effects of an altered hormonal equation within the body system, and that is natural. That is something that must occur. The human body is subject to Kundalini. It is subject to it. It does house it, but it is subject to the divine force which runs the body. Okay, and when that divine force reaches a certain level of expression within the human being, well, then a series of events will take place, and one of those events will be the hormone changes will occur. The person, if you're a female, you may have 2 or 3 periods per month. You may have, an altered sense of endorphin release, an altered experience with sleep or wakeful cycles. You may have an increased dimethyltryptamine content within the blood, or a decreased dimethyltryptamine (DMT) presence within the blood. You may have an accentuated immune response, or you may have typically I have not seen very often a immune system retreat. So it doesn't necessarily turn down, but it does certainly turn itself up. It will turn itself up, and so you may have all of these and more. You may have different hormonal brain function imbalances or instability. You may get angry really quick, really easy. You may get really peaceful and serene the very next minute. You're in the process of change, and this is a real change. As I said just a little while ago, Kundalini has authority over the physical systems. Not just the physical systems, it has authority over the physical, the emotional, the mental, the spiritual, the egotistical systems. It has authority over everything. And when it decides to make its presence an expressive presence, it will begin to change the patterns of response that the person has become used to. It will change the DNA. It will change the blueprint of the human system, and it will change it in quite substantial ways. As you know, and you know, with these types of symptoms, you don't have to have a lot of faith. It's going to happen. You're going to feel it. It's not like it's a shot in the dark. It is not like that at all. And for those of you that have had the Kundalini, I'd say who's here. Let's see. We got Lauren, Madeva, Matt, and you, Santara. You know, it's not necessarily a subtle energy expression, is it?
No, it is not. It is not indeed. No.
You know it. And and Carolyn, she knows it as well. It is not a subtle expression at all, and as a matter of fact, it can be brutal at times, exceptionally brutal to the ego more so than the physical system. The physical body knows that the Kundalini is in charge, and it begins to change with the divine agenda. But the ego person's going, "Whoa, God, what happened to my hormones?" Okay. And so, the hormones will definitely be affected. And as the Kundalini becomes more and more expressive, so shall the changes and the transformation in the endocrine system become more and more pronounced. Over.
Thank you, Chrism. From the group today, this was posted. I've slightly shortened it. It says, I was speaking with a member of our group and we were talking about how we see religious or cultural gods with no understanding of the culture or the religion. I saw the blue god with no understanding of who he is. So why do I see this and what does it mean?
In many ways, the divinity will reveal itself to a person when they're very young. Like for me, I remember I was 5 and I was riding my aunt's bicycle down Buckeye Street in Woodland, California. This would have been in 1965. And I was going really fast from the stop sign, heading home, and a brilliant flash of white light just appeared right in front of me. Just blew me away. I almost crashed the bike. Surprised me, scared me, and I went home telling my mom I saw lightning in broad daylight in the middle of a sunny day. And you can only imagine what her response was. Kindly, oh no, honey, you didn't see lightning. So as I look back on it now, I can see the divine entanglement occurring even back then. You have to remember, I've had Kundalini in previous lifetimes, and so therefore, when I was 5, I was having Kundalini awakening symptoms, but didn't know it, could not know it, because of my agreement to forget that which is on the other side of the veil. Now, for other people, however, maybe not having a previous experience with Kundalini, the divine will see that within their blueprint, this is the time for them. This is the time for them to really consider divinity in their life and how divinity relates to them in their life and how they need to factor in themselves within a divine equation. And so Krishna will appear to a person as a blue man, a symbol of sacred masculinity. Krishna will appear, and that in that appearance, a seed has been planted in that person. Whether they're a child, whether they're adult, doesn't matter. If they don't know who this blue man, that doesn't matter either. The very fact that the person's eyes registered a specific figure of blue, and that vision, and I said it before on this program, the visual sense has weight. It has velocity, and it is a two-way organ of sense. And so when you take a divine vision through your eyes and through the optic nerve and into your spine, If you take a divine vision that way, that divine vision will use the sight of a person as a vector of change, as a vector of response for a person. Okay. The divine will use that as a way to help that person by planting a seed through the vision into the energetic anatomy of the individual. And it doesn't matter whether the individual understands that it is a divine seed. That doesn't matter at all. All that really matters is that it's there, and that person will unknowingly pay attention to what that divine grace is telling them to do throughout the rest of their life. They will eventually make it on a Kundalini group in order to ask that question. And so it has been. Over.
Okay, thank you. Next question. I have been unwell for almost a year with one illness after the other, and I am feeling very low. I have been reading that we create our own disease, so I am causing this myself. I eat well and exercise as best I can. Has everything that has happened me been because of this life or karma?
Well, certainly there's going to be a karmic application to that. But she's asking this on a Kundalini group, right? You got that off the Kundalini group?
Yes. It's a private question.
Right. And so she's on a Kundalini Awakened group. I mean, how many people go out and join a Kundalini Awakened group? That's a very, very, very thin slice of the population pie of this world. Okay, very thin slice. And so, indeed, if she has the awakened Kundalini, that awakened Kundalini can begin to accelerate certain karmic bondage issues, so that the person with the Kundalini is dealing with karmic issues for a very specific amount of time in order to reach a frequency of interaction with divinity that will not injure them. You must go through karma to build the platform of interaction with grace. You cannot, have a platform of grace where karma hasn't been cleared first. And it doesn't mean you need to have it all cleared. You just need to have enough of it cleared so that the divinity can begin to percolate through the human system. And sometimes some of that karma may come to the individual as an illness, one illness after another. And I'm going to suggest you do not take, medical protocols for this. Nothing is wrong, really. I mean, if you can feel the rightness of that statement with you, and I'm going to put you in the blue there, Miss Amelia. If you can feel the strength of that truth for you, if you can feel that illness after illness after illness after illness has come to you with no real source or vector of contamination, you can really factor in a karmic equation with this. You can really begin to see and to understand that, okay, I've got some karma that I'm burning. I mean, the very fact that you're asking this question at all, inside of a Kundalini Awakening group, tells me that you're really, you do have some information on the Kundalini, and that you're in the middle and you're struggling because the illness is making you feel bad. It's making you feel sick. You're not at the top of your game, and that's always going to be a level of irritation for an individual. What I'm going to suggest you do is you begin to talk to your Kundalini. You go into meditation as best you can within the illnesses and begin to really, really, really surrender yourself to the divine agenda. Surrender yourself to the karmic divine agenda. Karma is what really constitutes a level separation. There's that Bible saying that says, "Oh, you separate the wheat from the chaff." Well, this is what karma does. Karma separates the wheat from the chaff. The chaff being some of the things that you've done that you may have to pay a debt on, and the wheat being that which you've never you don't have to pay anymore. The wheat has been separated from the chaff, and so some of us still have chaff to pay, and this is not bad. This doesn't mean you're a criminal. This doesn't mean anything except that there is further for you to go, and further for you to go within the human equation. And certainly further for an individual to go within the Kundalini activation or awakening equation. Very, very important. Phil Karuba is asking, might I recommend a light dose of... No, I'm not going to recommend that at all. I don't know why you would even recommend that, Phil. That's just that does not solve everything. It's just a plant. Why don't you say medical... oak tree or medical roses? I mean, of course, no, absolutely not. And it's a good thing. I'm not against it, but I'm certainly not suggesting that just because that people love it so much. There is definitely an addictive quality to that substance as well. And even though cannabinoids or have natural receptors in the brain, that just means that our primate ancestors used to eat it. And I don't think they ate it for medical reasons. Maybe they did, but I don't think they did. I think they ate it as a food source because it has high fatty ingredients and it's good. It's actually a food source. But I certainly wouldn't recommend it for Kundalini things. Okay. Anyway, so as we continue into this, in many ways, you want to let the karmic value continue its tour of your system. Take the karmic lesson, learn it well, forgive yourself, forgive anybody else that may be associated with it, and move forward into your grace. It is worth it to do. A lot of my homelessness had a karmic quality to it, and other people who were having hard times, emotional hard times, or things of this level. There's many karmic levels that can be taken care of within some of these struggles, and I don't want you to avoid the struggles. I don't want you to do that. I want you to have the struggle. I want you to embrace the struggle. And as soon as you embrace the struggle, well, you've kind of already completed the struggle. The struggle doesn't exist anymore. Okay? And I'm going to bring Her Holiness back. I only took you off, Centaur, because you were having some sort of movement-generated noise.
Yes, I do occasionally need to move.
I just don't understand.
Okay. Well, the next question. Yes, this was on the group as well, Chrism. As a Kundalini active person, is it wrong to engage in conversations about controversial issues? And the person explains, my Christian family hates Obama, they hate Muslims. When I point out that their world is full of hate, I just get more hate spewed at me, all in the name of Jesus. It seems like the only way I can be accepted by the people I love is to deny my true self. So is it wrong for her to engage in conversations about controversial issues?
Well, I'm not going to go into the areas of right or wrong. If you enjoy that conversation, if you enjoy having the hate focused on you, then yeah, go ahead, engage in those controversial subjects. I will suggest that in order to protect your serenity, that you realize, you just take a moment, take a step back, and realize that family members, and my family members are like this too, they don't understand anything about Kundalini. They don't understand any, and therefore They don't understand about the interconnectedness that we all share as human beings. And therefore, in order to feel special and in order to engorge their ego structure that they live through, they begin to create competitive separations. And these competitive separations allow one group to be better than another group, when in fact it is not true. But that's what they need to do at this point in their life. And, as they review their life and they see how much hate they spewed, that is karma developing right there. And they will pay that karma, and they will mature their soul as they need to mature their soul. Do you need to engage in it? I don't think so. But you don't have to excommunicate them either. You can forgive them for how they are. You can forgive the rampant levels of anger and hatred that they may be targeting other people with. You can tolerate it. You realize what it is. It's like, do you punish a 2-year-old for throwing sand at somebody on the other side of the fence? None of the sand reaches him, but the 2-year-old's throwing that sand. Do you punish him for that? How do you correct that 2-year-old? Obviously, you're going to listen to your 2-year-old. You're going to listen to them, and they're going to say, I hate Muslims, or I hate Hindus, or I hate Chrism. And what do you do with that 2-year-old? Do you try to correct them? Do you say, okay, honey, now it's okay for you to have anger, it's okay for you to not like somebody, but do you understand what the meaning of hate is, and do you understand what the how that affects other people, and do you want to really have that within yourself? Is that something that you want to feel good about? Is that does it make you feel angry? Does it make you feel sad? How does it make you feel? How do you educate that 2-year-old? Well, the way you would educate that 2-year-old would be a similar way that you would educate a family member. It's inclusivity. Kundalini is all about inclusiveness. It's all about taking humanity as a diverse wholeness of itself. We are all, I was talking to another student the other day and says, well, aren't we all just divine? And I have to say, we are all indeed just divine. But what we are, before we can recognize that divine within the human form, is we are divinity struggling to rediscover itself. Kundalini is that source of discovery of our own true divinity. And until a person can get to the point where they can have that exploration, and they can understand that exploration is basically a quality of coming back in through refinement, then they're going to spew their hate, and they're going to spew their anger, and they're going to do all those things, and even worse things, like burying women up to their shoulders and throwing rocks at them. Yay. There are many, many, many levels of hatred and anger that are expressed in this world, and as Kundalini awakened people, we are the ones that can spread that seed of serenity throughout the populations. Why do you think it is I don't charge for this information? That's why. This is the way for many of you that are having the Kundalini. This is the way. This is that way. It's not the only way. It's not the only way. But it is a way. It is a helpful way. And Phil, I'm not going to get into a conversation about marijuana. This is silly. I mean, if we're going to have a conversation about marijuana, let's have a conversation about the medical benefits of eucalyptus, or it's pennyroyal. I mean, all the herbs are herbs of divinity, are herbs of God, not just one special one that's been illegal for 50 years. Okay. To me, that it's a sterile conversation unless you include all herbs, all grasses, all trees, all fruits, all nuts, all of this stuff. You know, the ones we haven't even discovered yet, like in the Amazon. Anyway, so that is my answer to that question. Santara, Your Holiness, thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Chrism. There's another one. It's I had to go for an eye test the other day, and I lied when asked certain questions about seeing spots and lights. But all the time now I am seeing lights and shadows in my peripheral vision. I feel this is Kundalini, but after I left the exam room, I began to think maybe I should have told them.
Yes, second questioning yourself once again. You know, the ego wants to know, what, did I do the right thing? You know, unless you've got, like, you know, a person there saying, yeah, nicely done, you didn't mention that, that's good. You know, they just call it visual artifacts anyway. You know, like seeing dust on the cornea of the eye, blah, blah, blah. You know, if they don't have reference points for Kundalini, any healthcare practitioner, if the healthcare practitioner has no reference points for Kundalini, then they will not know what to say to you. They won't say, oh yeah, let me look at okay, on your chart, let's see, you've had a divine vision on May 20th, and then and another divine vision on June the 16th. No, you know, divine visions are not seen completely with the optic nerve. Divine visions are seen with a triad, an ocular triad. Okay, and the top of that triangle is that sixth chakra. Okay, and let's not forget the seventh chakra is a complete organ of vision all of its own, with the pupil of that organ of vision being the fontanelle. So we literally, you know, in an overt sense, we have four organs of vision. In a truthful sense, though, we have approximately 17 trillion organs of vision. Okay, we are the cells of our body. The cells of our body are who we are, and each cell has the possibility of growing into one of us right now. Okay, and so to go into an optometrist or an eye doc and tell them about Kundalini visual artifacts, well, you know, that's just asking for trouble. And I don't really suggest it until we can get Kundalini Awakening in the Merck manual, you know, or any of the other doctors' reference books. You know, it's an unsafe scenario, and it's not a healthy scenario to have a symptom, a real symptom that is met with incredulity because of unfamiliarity with the truth of that symptom. Done.
Okay, thank you. How can we identify that there is any blocks in Kundalini?
Kundalini does not have blocks. Kundalini is blockless. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's like saying, how does God, you know, put food on his table? God doesn't eat. Unless it's God in human form, and then God eats. I think the person asking the question is, how do we identify blockages to the Kundalini? What do you think?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what it is?
Yes, probably, Chrism.
Okay. Well, read it again. What is the...
It says, how can we identify that? Is there any blocks in Kundalini? It's obviously in English.
No, I understand.
The first language. Yeah.
Well, the first thing you can do is you can look at your physicality and you see if your physical environment has incurred that symptom. Then you look at your mental mind and you look at if a way of thinking has incurred that symptom. Then you look at your emotional body and you discern through your emotional body, have my emotions generated this symptom. And then you look into your ego body and you ask your ego body, has my ego body of fear, of want of gain, fear of loss, has it created this symptom? And if you're getting a no across the board, then you might want to start looking at your spiritual body and going, hey, is this Kundalini? Okay. And if so, is the Kundalini itself creating a blockage, or is it creating a challenge for me to overcome, in order that I may not only just cleanse the blockage itself, but clear some karma that may be causing that blockage? I mean, there are many ways to discern how that might be for a person. Many ways to do that. Another way would be just to ask the blockage itself, as if you're talking to another person. Close your eyes, put your fingers in position, bring your chin slightly towards your chest, and ask yourself, my Kundalini, am I having a blockage towards your expression in, say, the fourth chakra? And feel the response. Don't necessarily listen for the response, and don't listen for this response to be in English. Not everybody speaks English, okay? And Kundalini typically will speak through feelings more than words. Although I have some students that get a lot of words too, in addition to that. So look at that. Look at that as a way of discerning blockage. And if there is no medical reason for the blockage, if there is no physical, or, like I said before, if none of the above are causing that blockage, then you might look at the Kundalini itself and say, what is it that I need to learn in order to get through this blockage? Practice the safeties, too. And if you're able to practice the safeties, and if that blockage disappears due to your practice of the safeties, well, then you know that it's an old program, or it's an entity, or something of that nature that is blocking your progress within the Kundalini. And there are many different things that a person can do to begin to ameliorate those blockages within their system. So, and I'm sorry for using the word ameliorate there, Amelia.
No worries, Chrism. I'm actually after coming to the end of the questions, but there was a dream on the group. Could I read that to you?
Ooh, okay. Now you have to recognize that I don't have this dream written down in front of me, but go ahead.
Oh, yeah, that's probably okay. So, last night I had a dream. I was at work in an elevator.
No. You have to say it. You have to say it different. Are you ready?
No, I'm not. Go on, I'm ready.
I want you to say, I had a dream. Go ahead.
I had a dream. I was at work.
Okay, just that part. Thank you, my dear.
So I was at work in an elevator and it dropped. As it dropped, I screamed out loud in my dream and in real time. Then I dreamt of my mother. And as I was visiting her, my top right wisdom tooth fell out. A man in a hearse gave my mother a sword, and he engraved by hand. And that was all I remember. Any input?
What did he engrave? Did he engrave something on her hand?
I don't know. It doesn't. It says a man in a hearse gave my mother a sword that he engraved by hand. Sorry.
Oh, a man in a hearse, H-E-A-R-S-E, right?
Yes.
So
gave my mother a sword.
A car that drives around dead people, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And he gave my mom a sword that he had engraved himself.
Yes, and when she visited her mom, her top right wisdom tooth fell out. And after that, the man in the hearse gave the mother a sword.
Well, teeth falling out is not an uncommon occurrence with the Kundalini. In many ways, when the teeth fall out, the life is due to change, to take a very, very strong change. And because this was a wisdom tooth, then her level of wisdom may be approaching a level of change that she has yet to experience, but it is coming. the fact that the man pulled up in a hearse and then handed her a sword. Well, the sword is also can be seen in many ways as the symbol of a Shiva lingam or a sacred male symbol, and that he engraved it himself. Well, what was on the engraving? There's that to be discovered, and that he handed it to her mother. Her mother has the sword, not her, not the tooth. The person whose tooth fell out, but to the mother of that person. And so this can almost be seen as an interplay of the Shakti and the Shiva within a person's dreamscape. In many cases, the mother of an individual will be the Shakti in disguise as the sacred mother, but also as the mother that we are all familiar with, our own mother. And if she is being handed a sword driven by a guy that is driving a hearse being transportation of the dead being a body or a life that is on its way to being destroyed or on its way to being cremated or to be buried or to in some way be taken out of the human interactive realm, that would be the actions of Shiva. And so in many ways, Shakti and Shiva may have come together in that dream. And with the wisdom tooth that's falling out, a divine wisdom tooth may be replacing that one which has fallen.
Over. Thank you, Chrism. That's it. I have no more questions today.
Excellent. Okay, and so as we continue along the lines of the Grail quest, I want to underscore really how hard this can be. It is not easy. And if you're a person that has been successful in your life and you've done well under the ego system, you've made money, you've had success, you know how to get up at 6 a.m, get ready, go to work, be there by 8, be a manager or be a VP or be a hard worker or be whatever, and you're making your money and you're doing all of these things, and you have and you hold that which society tells you must have and what you must hold, and all of these things. Well, the Kundalini may all of a sudden come along and say, well, my dear, who should I use here? My dear Matthew Collins. My dear Matthew Collins, I want you to do something different now. I want you to be poor. I want you to be like St. Francis of Assisi, and I want you to walk the streets of the poor. I want you to embrace poverty. I want poverty to become part of who you are. And oh, by the way, I'm not going to give your ego any warning about this. I'm just going to initiate a system of poverty upon you. And holy moly, there you go. There you go. Matthew is all of a sudden poor, and he's walking amongst the poor, but he's also given very, very special skills to help him matriculate amongst the poor people and to help the poor people. Basically, giving an individual the tools they need against the ego expectation that they may have. And so even though the tools that they need to help the poor won't necessarily help them with their ego expectation, once they get through the ego expectation of what they should be, hey man, I've been successful in this world. I know how to teach. I teach at a university. I don't do these things. I don't need to be poor. Once they get through the understanding that the Kundalini has changed their abilities and changed their station in life for a very specific purpose, then they will be able to use those tools to find balance within themselves and serenity within themselves and to further themselves within that severe life disruption. Okay. Somebody's quoting me. Atlanta Seeker is asking me, Chrism, do you agree with it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for someone who is rich to enter the kingdom of God? No, I don't agree with that. I mean, on the outside, I agree with that. Because it's looking at at rich people and how, how people may hoard their wealth or hoard the food, or it's easier sometimes for rich people to act without compassion and without love and without consideration for other people than, say, poor people who can actually commiserate with other poor people, saying, hey, I know you're not eating tonight because you don't have any food, but I have a little extra and I'd like to invite you over and share this with you. You won't see too many rich people doing that type of thing. Hey, I know you're out of money, but I have a little extra, and so here's some money, and have a nice day. But sometimes it does happen. Sometimes it does happen. And I do feel that Kundalini is the kingdom of God. And rich people also have spinal cords, and they have Chitrini channels, and they have chakras, and they have karma. And you may be rich just because you've been doing good things for a while in different lifetimes. I know of a person who's exceptionally beautiful person. Physically very, very, very beautiful. And are they rich in that beauty? And if they are rich in that beauty, does that mean that they cannot enter the kingdom of God because they have wealth in a certain way? Do we associate wealth with just money? What about these guys that are making $1 million and then just giving it all to charity and starting all over again, making another $1 million, giving it to charity? I mean, there are good, rich people in this world too. Just as there are really, really bad, poor people. Poverty is not a get into heaven easy card. It makes you work harder. It makes you suffer a bit more. But it is not a gain entry to heaven card by any stretch of the imagination. And I don't buy that one. I mean, I buy it in a shallow sense about, what it might say about a lot of the wealthy people that, they don't, what they worship is the dollar. They worship money. They worship gold. They worship those things. And if a person is worshiping those things, yeah, they're gonna have a lot of refinement that they have to go through in order to get to the level of Kundalini awakening. But we can't lump every wealthy person into the same box. Okay, that's how I feel about that, Atlanta Seeker. And thank you for asking that question. Matthew writes, and I used Matthew as an example just a while ago of having a life, completely radically altered and changed. And what he says that all happened. He says, for the first year and a half, I moved back in with my mother. I walked everywhere as I did not have a car at that time. I learned many lessons at that time, and I salute you, Matthew. I salute you for how far you've come and how far you're going to go, my friend. Nicely done, and you're very welcome, Atlanta Seeker. You bet. So as we continue to explore our Grail quest, our journey into our divine nature, it's very important for us to really, really begin to look with charity upon the people around us. Not pity, but charitable thoughts. How may I control my thinking so that which is carried upon my radiance is given into the populations in a positive way? How can I control my anger or my irritation or that which makes me feel sad or envious or things of that nature? How do I do that? And once you are able to adopt a specific meditation that allows you to feel good about who you are, how you are, what you are, where you are, when you are, and let that serenity bleed inside you and to express and expand itself through you, and then let that expansive quality of grace land upon the people around you, so will you be exceptionally rich in Shakti, Kundalini, and in divinity. And you'll already be halfway in the heavenly fields with that wealth, my friends. Definitely there. Now, I have about 24 minutes here, and I would like to open this up to anybody who would like to call in. The number is, let me move this thing out of the way here. The guest call-in number is 347-934-0026. 347 United States area code, and then 934-0026. Feel free to ask any questions, and we have Alanis Seeker, guest 1504, guest 1758, Haley Heinonen, Juhani Virkula, Lauren White, Ma Devasavi, Mary Jean, Matthew Collins, Phil Karuba, Vincent 91. If any of you have questions about this, then about the Kundalini and about the interrelationship of Kundalini upon the human system, or maybe about your very, very specific Grail quest, please feel free to ask the question now. I'm going to continue along with the Grail quest here. So many of the Knights of the Round Table suffered terribly. I mean, first of all, you're walking around in all that armor. Oh my God! It's like, but it was that was what a person did at that time. And so they got 50 or 60 pounds of metal on their body, and they're walking around and they're trying to do good deeds for people. They're trying to find that elusive Holy Grail. They're trying to really change their life into a positive expression along the lines of the commitment they've made to represent a seeker of divinity, a seeker of the divine holiness that they envisioned outside of themselves, but what was really inside of themselves, causing them to make such a radical commitment. It's very, very, very interesting to have that in our history. Even I know it's connected to Christianity, but it really, it could be connected to Buddhism or Hinduism or any of the isms. It can be connected to any of those things, and it's all about refining ourselves to come into grace, refining our attitudes and our body. Not being a couch potato, not being so imbued with fear that we were afraid to leave the house. Remember, you knew about what the patterns of probability for this world were going to be before you even came here. You knew what was going on. Stop being so afraid. Don't let your ego capitalize on your fears. Don't let it create fears for you. Do what Rosemary did. Rosemary has these dark figures surrounding her, threatening her, frightening her. And she says, I belong to the Kundalini. I belong to my teacher. I.e., I belong to the Kundalini in me and the Kundalini in my teacher, which are the two that are one and the one that is two. And they had no option but to dissolve. Those were the abracadabra words. I create as I speak is what abracadabra means in Arabic. I create as I speak. And she did that. She created that reality as she spoke those words, which took them right out of that reality. You can do the same thing. You can do the exact same thing. Okay? Now, Amelia, my dear, do you have any questions?
Okay. No, Chrism, I don't.
All right, then. Well, then I guess we will end this show a little bit early. Let me ask Eileen here if she has any questions. Hello, Miss Florida. How are you?
I'm fine, Chrism, and I don't have any questions. I've enjoyed the show, though.
I enjoy seeing your name and your number right there every show, my dear. And I want to thank you for everything that you do for our Kundalini communities. Thank you very much, Eileen.
You're welcome, Chrism.
Into the Shakti Blue you go. And I do want to say a few things. I would like to let people know that we have this information and many levels of this information on YouTube, which is demonstrated by about 326 videos that are just about the Kundalini. And it's not all about Chrism. I mean, I admit the first 300 of them, maybe not even the first 300, but a large portion of them, I am the speaker on the video. But we also have Amelia Centara speaking on video there. We have Eileen Laurel speaking on video there. We have Rosemary Goliath. We have Brooke Robertson. We have many. We have Magdalinda Deus speaking on the videos there. Sarkis is also speaking on the YouTubes, and so it's not all about Chrism. So know that and realize that. We have Bradley speaking on some of the videos, and it's a diverse group of people that are speaking on those videos, and it's all about the Kundalini. It's all about how a person can relate to the Kundalini, understand the Kundalini, respond to the Kundalini in very, very positive ways. And so I encourage people to go to the YouTube channel, Chrism.Kundalini, Kundalini. We're also represented in the Facebook network with Kundalini Awakening ! Kundalini Awakening Systems 2, Kundalini Awakening Systems 3, Kundalini Healing. I have a private student group there as well, and we also have a journey to Peru coming up with the exploration of ayahuasca coming into an interplay with Kundalini Awakened people. This ayahuasca journey will be taking place for most of us on February 12th, and it will last to the 27th, I believe. And just an update for those folks who are going with us into Peru and to experience the ayahuasca. Things are going along quite well. I have one last thing that I'm going to explore before I go ahead and make that final call with it. I need you to understand that I'm really, really looking at levels of safety and levels of efficacy. I'm looking at those levels strongly, and I'm trying to look at the cheapest options that we have so that people aren't spending every dime that they own in order to just travel within Peru. And I will be buying my airline ticket to Peru this week, if not tonight. And from there, we'll be traveling with all of you to Lima, and then from Lima to our selected site, and then from that selected site to Cusco, Peru. So just to give you an update on that. Also, I would like to say more about, say, Yahoo networks, where Kundalini Awakening System 1 at Yahoo Groups. We also have Kundalini Healing at Yahoo Groups. We have the website www.kundaliniawakeningsystems1.com. We have chrism.kundalini.com, and we're also beginning to get ready to put up a website specifically for the UK that will also give a lot of this information there. So this information is out there for you to have and to hold. Just because you're not paying $1,000 a syllable, don't deny yourself the efficacy of this information. I know what the old saying says. You know, if it's not being charged, then it's not worth anything, right? If you didn't pay $1,000 for it, then you're not gonna. It can't be worth anything. Okay. Yes, and Matthew Collins does say his mother is featured in one of the videos as well. Yeah, very cool. But yeah, just because it's free doesn't mean it's worthless. I just remembered being homeless for 12 years and needing this information and really, really struggling hard because I didn't have any of it. I don't want you to struggle that way either. This is good information. And if you need to be charged for it, then go to the donation site that Santara mentioned at the apex of the show. Go there and pay for it. $1,000 a syllable. I will use it. I will use it to expand these teachings.
Yes,
a lot of people. Yeah, go ahead.
No. Sorry, Chrism.
I will use it to expand these teachings. I will be traveling to the. Oh, can you make that announcement, Amelia?
Yes, to the UK.
Yes.
Chrism will be traveling to the United Kingdom in August. He will be partaking of. He's a guest speaker at the Conference for Consciousness and Human Evolution in London, and he will be joining many speakers there. It's happening on the bank holiday weekend. That's the 28th, 29th, and 30th of August. And Chrism is speaking on the Saturday. That's the 29th. So if you're in the UK and even if you're in other parts of Europe, it's just an hour's flight, maybe an hour and a half to get to London. So we would love to see you there, and it's a great opportunity to meet with Chrism. He doesn't come to Europe that often. So, if you're listening to him on the show and you'd like to meet him in person, do make that effort, and I'll give you the website where you can get more information. It's www. and then these letters, tcche.org, all lowercase letters. And if you want any information about it, please feel free to contact us as well on Facebook, Santara on Facebook. There are some people from the group here that come into the chat room will be going. I know that Manisha is going to be there, and there are people in our CAS communities going to be there as well. So looking forward to meeting everybody. So again, it's a good opportunity to meet with Chrism. And I think, Chrism, you're doing a workshop as well the following week on Saturday, the 5th of September. Yeah.
One day. A
one-day workshop, yeah. So that's the second opportunity there. So do get in contact with us or go to that website, www.tcche.org. And that's not so far away now, Chrism.
For those of you on the East Coast of the U.S., just hop across the pond.
Yeah.
It's East Coast U.S., you've got Pennsylvania, you've got New York, you've got Maine, New Jersey, Massachusetts, North, South, Carolina, Georgia, Florida. Hop across the pond, Eileen. Hop across the pond and join us in the UK. And I look forward to meeting any and all of you who can make it. And I also want to say right now, I'd like to say thank you to everyone, Vincent, Matthew, Mary Jean, Ma Deba, Lauren White, Juhani, Helly, guests, 1758-1504, Bachji. Good to see you here. Atlanta Seeker, and my beautiful and amazing co-host, Santara, Eileen and Rosemary and Joey. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on this program. And I look forward to next week and another program of conversations with the Kundalini with Chrism. Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye. Amelia, do you want to say goodbye?
Goodbye, everybody. See you next week.
Bye.